rejection. It's an interesting
Yeah.
thing to overcome. Have you dealt with the kind of fear of rejection in the past and found a way to overcome that?
Yeah, it is really personal when it's your photography and you feel like they don't love it and they don't want to spend $1 million on your photos. You do feel personally hurt, and I've totally been there. It is definitely easier if you get someone else to sell your work for you, because the best thing about that is if I'm selling another studio's work, then if they're asking for discounts, well, I can't just on that because it's not my place to just offer it. So, look, I don't know. I'll have to go and talk to the owners about that. Whereas if they're dealing directly with the owner, it's really hard to say no to a discount. And you want them to take everything and you want to just let them have it. But you need to pay the bills this week. And yeah, so the rejection is real. It's a real thing. We all feel it.
Yeah.
I always found that policies were the best way to overcome that.
Hi everyone, welcome to the second episode of Yarning with Yana, where we like to spin a yarn, tell a story and spread it around the world. Today I've got Mel Comerford from Max Studio Consulting in Brisbane dropping by and having a yarn. We met at the Baby Summit. Was it the Baby Summit in Australia or was it the Baby Summit in the States?
I think it was the Gold Coast.
Right.
So it might have been the first one actually.
Yep.
Yeah.
So exhibiting, that's when I met you. Correct. Excellent.
Yeah.
And so tell me, all right, so who are you? And tell me about yourself. Let's go.
Okay. So I am Melinda Comerford. I am an accredited professional photographer. I shoot weddings, events, portraits, people photos. But I have known for a while that taking photos is not necessarily my real love. I love all the other stuff. I love the meeting clients and talking to clients. I love the systems that you need in place. And I know that's so nerdy, but I love systems. I love it. And I love all the post-production and all that other stuff around photography. But taking the photos itself isn't necessarily the thing that really gets me excited.
Interesting. So why?
Yeah, weird, right?
But I guess there was a passion, say, in the beginning that you wanted to get into it, or once you...
I was actually more interested in graphic design. So this year is actually my 20th year in the photography industry. I've been in it since I was 14 years old. My first ever job was in photography and I've never left.
Okay.
So I've covered most aspects of it. So everything from a mini lab, and I would do a lot of graphic design and retouching through that. And then developing my skills, I went to a pro lab and I was their retoucher. Then I sort of started looking at the photos that the pro lab were getting and going, I could do that. So I went and studied photography and became a photographer for a while, liked doing it. But the more I got into it, the more I really liked the post-production, the photoshopping, all the other stuff in it, and graphic design came part of that as well.
Oh, that's really interesting. And so your job, so you were working with Kelly in her studio. Is that where you kind of really got to know the systems and processes, or is that where you found your love for it?
No, probably. I've been doing a lot of the workflowy, admin-y stuff for probably the last 10 years.
Okay, right.
With various studios. I managed a couple of studios here in Brisbane, and that was all really great because I got to do all the stuff I wanted to do. And every once in a while I got to take some photos, but it wasn't where I spent most of my time. And I developed those sorts of skills of having to be really organised and have those systems in place in the workflows. But yeah, I was working with Kelly and and she's got a really exciting studio happening there as well.
Excellent. And so the studios that you have been working into, other than Kelly's as well, what sort of volumes were you looking at?
Everything from really small boutique high-end studios to those that were doing large bulk runs and shooting 80 plus weddings a year and multiple shooters. So, and I had to be able to adapt to what each studio needed, because they can be so diverse in what they need. If it's one photographer owner, they don't have any staff, it's very different than a big studio who's got multiple photographers shooting for them and might outsource retouching and all of that. Very different systems.
Wow. So yeah. That's awesome. And so what did you? So you obviously started Mac Consulting. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Mac Studio Consulting.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. And so, what did you think that was missing that made you go, all right, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go out on my own. And was there a pivotal moment?
No, not a pivotal moment as such. I think I just decided to concentrate on what really got me excited.
Yep.
And I've often looked at some of these amazing photographers in the industry, and I'm so lucky to call them my friends, these people who are up on really high pedestals and we admire so much. And I look at them and go, wow, you just want to do nothing but work on your business and grow your business. You are so excited about it and passionate about it. And I'd always sort of thought that was missing for me. I never had that passion and that excitement. Whatever I did, if it was my own business, it was always, a job. And then I realized if I'm really passionate about this stuff, if it's what I want to do when I, am sitting here doing nothing around the house, all I do is look up new studio management systems and see how they work and all that stuff. Teach myself programming to do bits and pieces and develop brands, all that stuff. If that's what I'm doing in my spare time, then maybe I should make a career out of it. And then I realised that there wasn't really anyone else doing this sort of thing for photographers, to support photographers. Yeah. And it's such a lonely business, working for yourself and being a photographer. It can be really hard to not have someone to bounce those ideas off.
Yeah.
So, I thought there's room in the market to be able to assist photographers to grow their businesses through these systems, buying them some time. And, they're often stretched so thin, editing to all hours of the night, and, kids are distracting during the day. Hopefully I can bring some of that sanity back to photographers and give them some room to maybe grow their businesses and focus on the things, so that phrase of work on your business, not in your business.
Yeah. And
a lot of photographers get caught working in a business. So I want to help them to be able to take a step back from that, let the business take care of itself, and then they can actually work on growing.
Focus on that. So let's say, for myself, as an example, I'm strapped for time as it is. How do I find time to have a studio consultant come in and consult me if I'm already time poor?
That's tough.
Yeah. How would you? So do you come out to people's studios, or is it an online thing? How do you consult?
Yeah, so I ideally it's easiest if I can come to their studio and I can fit around their schedule, because I understand photographers have some pretty crazy hours that they work, so I'm willing to work with them those crazy hours, weekends, evenings, all of that. A lot of photographers have also got a day job now too, and they're doing the photography in their spare time.
Yep.
So that's something that, again, I can adapt to that and fit in where they've got availability. But the idea is it's that invest a little bit of time now to save a lot in the long run. And it's not that much time for them in the beginning anyway. It's really just, it could be a couple of hours, depending on what they need. And it should save them much, much more than that by the time we're done.
Excellent. All right. So if I'm a photographer and I have implemented, we're going to talk about maybe a couple of tips of something that I could do today to help me. But let's say I'm a photographer and I've been working with you, Melinda, for a while. Okay. And I've got all my systems and processes in place. What's my average day going to look like?
You are going to have your systems, which are mainly computers, take care of a lot of stuff for you. So you might still have emails, you'll have inquiries, you may have more inquiries than you used to have because of some of the referral systems we can implement. So it still needs that personal touch from the photographer, but there's far less time the photographer needs to spend manually handling a lot of those things. So once you've got a client booked in with you, your systems can actually take care of a lot of that for you. It means that you're not having to spend time writing them, say, sending them a contract and sending them reminders that to sign the contract and sending them your price list. All those communications you have to do back and forth with your client. That can all be automated. And it still have that personal spin to it, because that's so important in building client relationships. And you can also then, if you're, say, at the end of a session with a client, you've done your shoot, maybe you don't have the time or the skills or the desire to do the post-production. So maybe I help you outsource your post-production or outsource other things. You don't have to spend, they say, do what you're good at and hire other people to do what they're good at. Yeah. And like bookkeeping is another one thing that photographers give up really easily because everyone hates it. And there's other people you can pay to do it and they do a great job and you don't have to worry about it. Yeah. This is sort of taking that to the next level, outsource other things that you aren't great at or you don't love doing in your business. And there's just about everything available out there for you to support your business. So the idea is you'd be a lot more relaxed. You wouldn't be freaking out about everything you have to do because a lot of it is taken care of for you in the system.
Lovely. And so if there was, okay, all right, what's something that I can do today? Just give me a little taste. Give me a taste.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have like a little secret bond or something like that? Like just a little piece of software. Or give me something, some sort of tip that's going to make my life easier today.
Okay, this is a daunting one, but this is what I really believe in. It's a concept called inbox zero. And it basically means at the end of every day, your email inbox is empty. So this is something anyone can implement. It means you can use tools to unsubscribe from all the bulk mailings that you're into that you're not actually reading, or you can actually combine a lot of those bulk mailings into emails. So you're reading one email rather than 20. Yeah. But you're handling inquiries or emails as they come in. And then you file them away so you never have to look at them again because they're dealt with.
Yeah.
And they stay in your inbox until they're dealt with. But it's such a freeing feeling to have an empty inbox. And you won't feel crowded by all the stuff you have to do that's sitting there, from your emails.
Correct. Yeah, I imagine. Well, I know when there's those. If I even get up to like 30, I'm feeling overwhelmed, and I'm like, okay, yeah. I don't want to deal with this. It's quite an overwhelming feeling, isn't it? Yeah, it's kind of hanging out. Yeah. Sometimes they are just a lot of spam, but I just don't want to go there. I don't want to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think email anxiety is a really big thing these days. Like you go on holiday, if you're actually going to have a couple of days away from your computer, there's this horrible feeling that comes over you when you have to go back to it and see how many hundred emails are sitting there and you have to deal with them all. It's really daunting. I used to get heart palpitations when I was a busy day on the emails and I just couldn't keep up with it all. It's very nice to have a clean inbox.
Excellent. So can you tell me a little bit about maybe a photographer that you have worked with that's had really positive results? Give me a little story.
Yeah, okay. So there was a photographer I was working with in Brisbane. They had a good-sized studio with a few staff, and they were scaling back because this was a few years ago, and they were seeing that the industry was changing. And so they acknowledged that and they decided to scale things down a little bit and change what they were doing. But as they were scaling back, so I came in at that point when they knew that they were going to have to pull back on things. And what we worked on was making sure that even if we were scaling back the number of shoots the studio was doing and the number of staff they had, that we were actually raising the quality of the service and the product that the clients were getting, which meant the studio wasn't necessarily losing any money, even though they were working less.
Right.
So that worked really nicely. We made sure that, clients were really made to feel special. They were giving gifts and things like that. And just a phone call to say, hi, how's your wedding plans going? Those sorts of little things that you can't do when you're running around mad and freaking out about all that you have to do. Making the time for the clients, that turned into every client was referring at least 2 people to us, at least to inquiry stage. So we could raise our prices because we had this work possibly coming in. So prices went higher. The standard of work was higher. The standard of client care was higher. They were happy to refer. And the studio ended up thriving on it, even though they were pulling back from having to do so much work and having so much responsibility with staff and that. So that was really exciting. We definitely needed systems there because we couldn't forget to call one client because we hadn't got around to it. And we ended up developing some like studio management systems that worked really, really well. Workflow was streamlined. The clients were getting their photos much quicker, which again made happier clients. And it meant that we all knew exactly what was going on in the studio at any given time. We didn't have to flounder around with several staff there and try and figure out where something was up to.
Great. And tell me, how did the studio owners, how did that make them feel? They felt like, I want to scale back because it was too much, and then all of a sudden they're actually getting more and gaining more. How did that make them feel?
Yeah, well, it was originally a husband and wife team. Partway through this process, the wife stepped back to do her own thing outside of the studio. So that was something they'd been trying to do for years and hadn't been able to. So that was really nice. And the other thing I didn't mention is the sales went through the roof. So we were doing a lot of wedding albums, and the wedding album sales were huge. And that was really exciting when the rest of the industry was shrinking and the business was shrinking, but the sales were still going up. So yeah, they were just ecstatic that the studio could more or less run itself. They could concentrate on the customer care side of things, and they didn't have to stress. There weren't any more late nights working at the studio, and they had a lot less of the staff-related stress that they had previously as well.
That's fantastic. When you said that they were kind of noticing that there was changes in the industry, was that album related?
It was the big pickup in digital photography.
Yeah.
And with all of that has come a lot of new photographers, a lot of amateur photographers who don't necessarily want to make a living out of it. And yes, that's related to albums as well. This was at the start of the big album dip where people started going, I just want digital files. So we found a way to flip that and turn it into really big album sales, and they still got their digital files as well.
That's fantastic. Excellent.
Yeah.
So that kind of that negative, which was like, this is, the fear, and actually turned it around and made it a real positive and drawing point.
Yeah, that's it. And there's still a lot of people out there. There's a lot of photographers I speak to who say, oh, my clients just want digital files. And I don't know, I'm really obsessed with albums. I love albums and physical prints because they're the things that this couple's kids are going to come to them in 10 years' time and say, let me look through your wedding album. And that's the stuff that's really going to last. And we all know someone who's just gotten digital files and the CD or DVD is still sitting in the desk drawer and it's never been printed. And is that you?
Oh, God. No, not me. Like the amount of emails I'll get. I'll get a couple and like, so when I've been in business close to 10 years now, and every year without fail, I'll have a couple of ex-brides come through going, we just built a house and we've just moved and in the move, I've lost the USB.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I kick myself because I never, and I'm just calling myself on my own rubbish, is when I was shooting Burn, I just made these assumptions. I made assumptions based on what I'd heard, is that people don't want to print their photos anymore.
Yeah.
But I never actually asked the question.
Yeah. And I imagine you never showed them a beautiful album either for them to see what it was that they could get.
No. And it's these preconceived, all these preconceived ideas that I'm saying, well, if that's the information that was out there for me, and I guess believed that was correct and never offered it. And then once I've actually started offering it to people and showing them something, they say, yeah, what is the digital file all about anyway? What's that? Yeah. What's all that about?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Actually, I know that sales can be really hard for a lot of photographers because, they put their heart and their soul into their images, and, they think that they're worth, exorbitant amounts of money because they've put so much into it. And then when the client says, oh, no, we don't really want to spend that much on an album, or we don't want to spend that much on wall prints, or whatever it might be, it's really hard on the photographer. You feel like you're being personally rejected.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that I am offering to photographers. I can come in and do your sales for you because I don't have that personal attachment to your images.
Oh, wow.
You can offload that scary little thing. And again, rather than saying that the clients only want files, let me talk to them. I'll tell them they don't just want files.
Yeah, that's it.
For my own business, I just ended up having the friends and family thing is the worst, right? Because I've got friends and family who aren't photographers and don't really understand what photography is about. And so they just want free family photos all the time. And I have to explain that, well, it's not just an hour's shoot for your family photos. It's then all I do behind the scenes, and I can't afford that out of my business. So I ended up having a friends and family price list where they got a 30% discount on my normal prices, and I might give them one print or something, but they now know that that's the rule, that they don't just walk all over me. And the same thing with clients. I developed okay, well, here's my discount bundles. And if they want a discount, they have to get one of these bundles to qualify for the discount. And that's how they can get better value out of it and still feel like they're walking away with a bargain, but I'm still getting what I deserve as well.
Fair call. Absolutely. And so who do you work for? Are you working with amateurs, people who aren't doing it as full-time that want to jump into it full-time, or are you working with already established professionals, or with everyone? Is there a little niche in there?
I can work with anyone to improve how they're doing things at the moment. But I think the biggest need for it is probably those photographers who are either just in their early days of doing this full time, or who are trying to do this, be a photographer and juggle their family commitments. So, that I don't have young kids or anything, but that must be so hard to be trying to keep up with being a parent and running a business yourself. I can't even imagine. My dogs are hard enough work for me. And I could lock them in a room when I'm on a Skype call.
Is it just portraits and weddings, or are you working with commercial clients, or is it any kind of genre that you're sticking to?
Yeah, portrait and wedding, I think, has the most that I can give them, though I do have a landscape client at the moment, and we're helping him with building an online store and marketing that so that he can get a few sales in through his online store. I'm in talks with a commercial photographer who wants someone who can basically make the first contact with her clients and talk about their brief and what they actually want, talk them through all the options and how that will work before they get to the stage of the shoot. So it really can work. Basically, if it involves customers in any way, I'm keen for it because I really love customer service. I think it's so important.
So important. And you sound like you're going to be really busy. Are you going to have a little kind of a cutoff of how many people that you're going to be able to take on? Surely.
Yeah, I guess so. Like for now, it's easy for anyone in Southeast Queensland. I can travel to their studio, and so that's easy enough. I've got a couple of interstate clients coming up, so I'll be traveling around to the interstate, but I can also do things via Skype and whatever else we've got, screen sharing technologies.
Yeah.
So that part's good, but yeah, there is going to have to be a limit for what I can do, and we'll see where that is when we get to it, I guess.
You're a very popular lady. And so it is interstate and kind of south, so you want to stay within that kind of Brisbane bubble, but you will pop out and do Skype meetings as well. So
yeah, and I do travel around the country relatively regularly, so it's easier to do things face to face if we can, but if not, technology will help us.
Excellent. That's awesome. Thank you so much for your time today.
No worries. Thank you. It was a good chat.
Yeah, it was good to see you again, and I'm sure we'll run into each other in the near future. And
sounds good.
Yeah, we'll have a chat, and can't wait to hear about your photographers using Registry this year as well.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's such a good service, and it makes it easier to sell albums. So I think everyone should be using it.
Yeah, for sure. Excellent. Well, you enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and we'll chat to you again soon. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Anna.
All right. See ya.
Bye.